Cookie Show.
So today we're going to talk about your tax breakdown. So I'm assuming you've received your bill for 2023 Boone County property tax statement.
I paid mine early, so I got a discount.
2%, baby.
We love these big discounts in Boone County.
Right. Majority of our taxes are going to the schools. If you saw your breakdown, you saw that. So I'll just break it down really quick. As you know, a lot of us had our houses assessed. Say if your house was worth 260,000 and after the assessment they say, okay, well your house is worth 340 on the low end. On the high end it's 393,000. So when you do the math, you're paying $854 more in 2024 on the low assessment. And then if they rank you in like around 393 in the higher assessment, you're paying $1,400 more than you would if you were paying your 2023 and before. The school districts like to say, well, we didn't vote on raising the taxes. They're still getting more money after the assessment.
No, I think it's a great point. And maybe the school board has nothing to do with the assessment, which we obviously know they don't. But there's a reason why they voted to not raise the taxes. It's because they knew the assessment was coming. They were going to gain more money through the assessment.
Well, they talked about how they were getting more money from the new builds also, all the new buildings going in.
Of course, that's why they're all for it.
However, I do want to point out they could have lowered your taxes and kept their revenue the same, and they did not even discuss that.
Yeah, that's a good point to make. Because of the assessment, they could have lowered the taxes, the school tax, and they could have kept the same amount of money in their bucket.
Okay, so here's just the breakdown for $260,000 home in 2023. You already have 60% of your taxes going to the school. Here's at the low assessment, 340,000, 60%, and same here, 393, actually 30 or 61% is going to your school district. Matt Turner said that each school district puts their funds in different buckets.
It's just another way where our school districts, and I say this as a whole, when it comes to spending, I don't think we're as transparent as we need to be. What was said was that one school district might put things in their admin expenses. Let's just say they put sick days that they pay out at the end of the year. They might put that in admin expenses in Boone County, but in Kenton County, they might not. I'm not saying that's what they do with that specific payout, but that's the hard part about this. That's one thing I do want to talk to some people down at the state is I think for the transparency across the state, our school districts, when it comes to spending money, should do things more the same. We have a big push now, and this is getting a little off topic, but we have a big push now in the state that we have this or even in our district, we want to do this universal reading plan. And ultimately, I think that's what our current state wants to do, current government in the state of Kentucky. They want everybody to kind of be on the same page, but when it comes to spending, they don't. And that's because they don't want to be transparent with that. So it's kind of hard to even look at this because we don't know what's coming out of that bucket.
So basically you're telling us we need to reach out to our legislators and say, look, across the board, Kentucky needs to allocate the same way across all school districts so that we can compare.
Correct. I think that's important.
And I would think that we would want to do a state audit as a whole, not just, each individual school district needs an audit. However, we need to audit as a state and maybe even equivalent type states. So I don't know what state would be equivalent. Tennessee, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, the problem is we're talking about millions and even
right.
$1 billion. Jefferson County, there's a line item that's over $1 billion. And so we're not talking about a small amount of money. That's where the transparency comes in. We're talking about a large amount of taxpayers' money that's being spent, and we have no clue how. It goes back to the whole meeting that they had on Thursday night. Yes, it's only $1,000, but we spent $1,000 for a lobbyist to moderate a meeting.
That was only a couple $100, Jacob.
Right. That a man who spends, or that a man who makes $200 and something thousand should have been moderating. The fact that he can't moderate it, making that much money, is sad.
Yeah, let's point out that he's not part of the board. He's an employee, but he sits in the middle of the board like he runs the show. So the fact that he could have been the moderator of the whole thing between the board and the legislators, he decided to sit with the board as if he's part of it.
Yeah, this goes back to kind of what we were just talking about. It's going to be really hard to talk about these instructional, the different ones, only because we don't know what comes out of instructional. But I will say, if you look at 33% of our budget is instructional, which means if you look at the like school admin, a lot of our money is being spent on personnel.
Here's an example of Fayette and their breakdown. And like you said, since all school districts don't allocate the money in the same buckets, how do we know we're comparing apples to apples?
Yeah, like what comes out of that? Is curriculum coming out of instructional?
Right.
What exactly is it? And maybe that's something I can request open records for.
And in Jefferson, 56%, and they're spending $1 billion.
Yeah. So a lot of these percentages too, just to clarify, when you see a 0%, Jill worked extremely hard on putting all this together, but you see a 0%, that doesn't mean there's no money being spent out of that. That just means it's such a small amount of money compared to all the other percentages. So a 0% for food service operations could be $100,000, and it's just registering as 0% because it's such a small percentage compared to the 56 of instructional.
Then here's Kenton County. So it would be interesting to see the breakdown on what is included in instructional.
Yeah. So, I mean, if we look at Kenton County, it's 55%, 94 million. Can you go back to Boone? 33%, 57 million. We're larger than Kenton by probably, 10,000 students, but their percentages are right there at the same percentage. So that's super interesting to me.
Right.
Perfect. I would just say for this, as parents looking into finances, is just you need to be aware that there's being a lot of money spent and not a lot of accountability of where it's being spent. That's really one of the whole purposes of doing this. They're raising taxes at the same time, or if they're keeping taxes the same at the same time, the assessments are more, they're getting more money, which just gives them the opportunity to spend more money. And we don't know what they're spending it on. Ask questions when it comes to spending. I know if it comes to our own finances, we all want to know where our money's going.
Right. And not only parents, Jacob, it's everybody that is living in Boone County should be questioning.
Yeah, that's right.
Just I watched a hearing with KDE and the legislative research committee. They were saying that they were wanting more money to do a review. It's like the textbook commission. And they said that they basically outsource the ratings and review of digital curriculum to a nonprofit. But I looked up a lot of the digital curriculums we're using, and they weren't even assessed by the group that KDE uses. But KDE wants the money to do the review, even though they outsource the reviewing process.
They need accountability too.
And I was told the legislators are working on a forensic audit of KDE. They have over 700 employees in 2 buildings. I was told that that was something they were working on a bill for. And we did ask Mike Harmon, our state auditor, multiple times for a forensic audit of Boone County schools. And he never did it.
Does he not have to do it?
Nope. No one's required to it. It's never happened. No one's ever done a forensic audit of any of the schools. So there was a situation, I don't remember what county it was, where a secretary in the admin office was writing herself sub checks as if she was a substitute teacher. She did it for 10 years before she got caught. And the only way she was caught was the IRS caught her. There's all kinds of stuff going on in these schools and nobody knows about it. And we have not been able to get a state auditor to do it. And the legislators are going to have to legislate that it's a requirement.
But they are working on it.
The legislators we have now are, yes.
Good.
You're welcome.